welcome to Sustainability Snacks. Super happy to be talking to you. Would love to learn about Loop Tie and what you guys do.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here with you today. So Loop Tie, yeah, I joke a lot with our CEO and founder, Sarah Rodell, that we're actually a sustainability company with a gifting problem. We focus a lot on how we can take this historically really wasteful field and try to transform it into a much more sustainable solution. We work really closely with small businesses to help power our marketplace with gifts and offerings from small business owners instead of large manufacturing corporations that are all selling the same thing to everyone everywhere. We focus a lot on not just carbon neutrality, but carbon regeneration with our practices. And yeah, we're just trying to really disrupt the space of corporate gifting and just make people a lot more conscientious of what they're doing when they are spreading gifts and generosity.
Yeah, there's a lot of corporate gifting companies. You guys are really not alone in trying to make gifting easy. You are, if not alone, then one of the very few companies that are really leaning into sustainability at that purpose. Why did sustainability become the crux of it? Was it just Sarah, the founder, was like, I care about the planet. Let's see if we can make this happen. Was it more strategic? Why did sustainability matter to your business from a business perspective?
It's an awesome question. And by the way, I'm also, this is my second company working at a gifting platform company as well too. I do think gifting and the core of gifting of generosity is a really important part of any healthy business relationship or non-business relationship you're trying to strike. For Loop Tie, it's always been the core value of this organization, and it is due in large part to our CEO and founder, Sarah, who I firmly believe would actually be out building a regenerative agricultural company or owning a farm, or probably both. They're not mutually exclusive, and not running Loop Tie, or had she never had that kernel of idea for Loop Tie. And so I think it's just part of just how we originally got started, which was to offset the waste of gifting. And it's just kind of a core value of everybody who comes here. There's a gravitational pull to want to do more than just help people send gifts.
Yeah. Why does this matter to the companies who choose you? I mean, I see even on your homepage, Salesforce, Slack, Google, Deloitte, Adobe, Microsoft, the world's biggest companies decide to use Loop Tie as part of their gifting program. Why do they choose the sustainable route for something like gifting?
There's a lot of reasons that they are really thinking about their carbon footprint in the world right now. I think a lot of this has to do with the emerging workforce that's coming into the field right now. There's an emerging workforce that's so much more sensitive and thoughtful around the stakeholders in our world, and not just the shareholders in our world. They care a lot about the stakeholders like our ocean, like the air, the atmosphere that we all live and breathe in, the food that we are all ingesting. And so as a result of that, organizations are being forced to self-reflect and figure out, hey, am I doing all that I possibly can to take care of both the stakeholders and the shareholders so that my employee base is motivated, it feels passionate about working here, and does understand that we help align with their shared value systems. I think on the other side of that as well too, so not just internally, but externally, consumers are so much more conscientious of where they are spending their money. And we've seen that many consumers are spending their time, energy, and most importantly, their financial resources investing in the values that they have and partnering with organizations who have those shared value systems. You'll see that a lot of organizations, massive enterprise organizations, are now evaluating vendors to ensure that their vendors are meeting the certain standards of criteria for things like environmental sustainability. They care a lot about, the promotion that they do for historically marginalized communities. They care a lot about the philanthropic endeavors that the vendors that they partner with are caring about, are investing in. And so at this point in time, if you're an organization that has any sort of employee base or customer base, your social stewardship is one of the most foundational pillars of your strategic success now and moving forward.
Yeah, the predominance of your guys' footprint and the majority of what you can actually do around sustainability probably comes from two categories: the product, which includes the product and the packaging and everything that comes with it, and the shipping.
Yeah.
So A, like, correct me if I'm wrong, and if there's a third, and B, tell me about some of the things you do in those two categories, products, which includes packaging, and the shipping, to actually make sustainability mean something instead of a pretty website.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I'd be remiss if I didn't also talk about two other values of sustainability that we care a lot about with, and that is definitely environmental sustainability. But in addition to that, we care a lot about economic sustainability and social sustainability. So to that first pillar that you're talking about, which are with our products, with the actual gifts themselves, we really focus on sourcing our gifts from small independent creators, makers, and artisans, so that we could take the capital, the corporate spending power of the likes of Salesforce, as you mentioned, the NFL, and redirect all of that capital down into the local economies. So that really does help to stimulate our economies. It helps to stimulate the way that money is being shared, and wealth actually can help start to destabilize some of the social inequities that come from small businesses. The second thing that we focus on when we do evaluate vendors too is there an opportunity here for us to support historically marginalized communities? Or is there an opportunity for us to support businesses who also have a social impact component to their products? Like, are they using materials that are sourced from, plastic that's been removed from the oceans and building beautiful, shoes, necklaces, jewelry, wearables, all of that kind of stuff? And with that in mind, we are helping to surface a level of consciousness and the fact that you don't have to just give folks the same old mugs. You don't have to give folks the same old tchotchkes, right? You can be really thoughtful and intentional with how you are giving gifts and what you're giving as a gift. And we help to fuel and power that. And also, like, it's just a great opportunity for these businesses to get in front of new audiences they've never seen before and build a certain level of virility with their products. So that's one thing that we really focus on. Obviously, all of our packaging from Loop Tie gifts also is recyclable, reusable, and also biodegradable. We've actually just recently partnered with a company called Boox, Boox, who has a really cool product that allows you to reuse the boxes that your gifts are sent into, or send it back to them. They will sanitize it, clean it, take care of all of the sticky stuff from your packaging, and reuse it and put it right back out into circulation. And so we're always looking for companies to help us reduce the carbon footprint of gifts and shipping, et cetera, and try to be much more regenerative. Now, that also is another thing that we focus on as well too, is the shipping. We offset and by 2x the amount of carbon that we are emitting by all of our gifts that are shipped as well too. We look at all the gifts that come out. We actually calculate how much carbon was emitted by those gifts for those shipping based on location, et cetera, based on weight. And then we offset those carbon emissions by twice the amount that we've put into the atmosphere, which in turn kickstarts a whole other life cycle of social and economic sustainability too, by helping to partner with regenerative agricultural companies who are providing jobs, who are providing food, who are providing a lot of livelihood for folks and keeping economic sustainability as part of their practice as well too. So we like to say that, like, the gift is really just the beginning. Everything that happens after the gift is so impactful and is really a very sustainable practice from start to finish.
I think a really big part of the, when businesses are looking for some sort of return on their sustainability investment beyond just reductions or whatever, is storytelling, right? It's telling your customers what you're doing, telling the partners that, hey, this is what we've accomplished. How much of that storytelling or marketing, maybe being the jaded term, do you guys do when somebody receives a gift? Are you explaining carbon offsets? Are you explaining what you're doing around plastic reductions? Are you explaining all this stuff?
Yeah, this is a really good question, and one that we often check in with ourselves on, because we are so afraid and hesitant to be greenwashing or performative with everything that we do. We are doing this not because we're getting something in return for it. We're doing it because it's just the right way to run a business in today's society. And so we keep that in check wherever we can to make sure that when we do help educate someone, when we do help carry someone along this journey with us, what we're doing is not to be self-gaining. It's meant to help that person and be like a gift inside of a gift. And so what we do is we have QR codes in the inserts of our gifts to help teach people how to recycle every single tiny aspect of the gift that they've received from Loop Tie, or help them decide, is this biodegradable? Can I put it in my compost pile? Or is this something that I can reuse and get a lot more lifespan out of? We also surface a lot about the creators, the makers, the artisans, and directly connect them to the people who make the products themselves. So if someone does love this product, they can connect directly with those businesses and really continue to evolve their relationships moving forward. So again, we're always keeping ourselves in check. We're always making sure that what we're doing, we keep ourselves honest. We don't want to do anything such that it's pandering or performative. What we want to do is just help educate. And if someone likes what they learn from us, even better for us in the long run.
Yeah. I want to bring up almost a contradiction to our whole conversation here, which someone brought up to me, which is the way the sustainability narrative world conversation is going right now is how do you turn every existing business into a more sustainable business? And that's a really important conversation, and that's the best we have. But somebody asked me, and what I'm going to ask you is, can we really have it all? Like, can I really be buying backpacks and mugs, even if they're made from some small artisan, ship them around the world or around the country, even if it's going slowly on trains or someone's walking it all the way across the country to be more, like, can I have it all and have a more sustainable economy and environmental justice and not have to cut down trees? Like, where are we missing something? Where do you believe we still need to have improvements? Like, what is your response to this maybe jaded, maybe fair question? Can we have it all?
I love this question because I think it's really pragmatic. I think you'll meet companies along this journey that you're on, talking about sustainability snacks, that we're on and trying to be better, more helpful, useful resource in gifting. If you don't come across these questions, you're probably not surrounding yourself with the right people to evaluate the good of what you're doing. In my opinion, I think we are hitting a tipping point now where there are infrastructural systems that we have to use in order to grow and scale our business. And so it's just, you have to have that supply chain, you have to have that fulfillment network to be able to get a gift from point A to point B, because me, all the way here in Rhode Island, walking a gift all the way to someone receiving a gift in the UK is just literally not possible. And so I think you can, when you know better, you do better. And so as an organization, we have a responsibility to continuously educate ourselves and evolve our practices to be able to do the best that we can to negate, if not neutralize completely, all that we've done to put more harmful carbon in the environment, or to, use an infrastructure that isn't actually optimized for carbon emissions. We're still in our infancy, in my opinion, of what's possible to reduce, our environmental impact, to improve our societal impact. And it's on us as leaders in this space to stay educated, to surround ourselves with people who are asking questions like this, and to push the envelope of what's possible, hold ourselves accountable to a higher standard. And then that becomes this forward-facing mindset becomes the new norm, which means we need to reorient and become that new forward-facing mindset. I don't think today we can have our cake and eat it too, but I think one day we're not far from being in a place where we can have our cake and eat it too, and have a lot of green, healthy air around us.
It's a complicated conversation that deserves maybe a few more beers.
Yeah.
But I think
or matcha teas, whatever you may have.
Matcha teas, whatever your thing is. But that is the most important question, I think, of our time is, can we have it all? If not, what do we drop? And if yes, what do we do to get there as quickly as possible? Let me use that as a transition to my final question for you, MK. You guys work with a lot of technology companies. It seems to be a big client for you. Let's say you left Loop Tie tomorrow and you went to go run sustainability at one of these technology companies. What would be some of the first couple of things that you want to make sure you get done in the sustainability department in your first few months?
Yeah, so I think, so as a marketer, I think one of the biggest areas of opportunity for any marketer is to fully understand if your culture is aligned with your outward facing brand. Your brand internally and your brand externally should not be two separate things. And the same exact thing and principle applies to where your ESG programs align as well too. So if I'm picked up and brought to one of our other tech companies, my job would be to make sure that we are reconciling the values that we have in our ESG with the values that we are upholding in every aspect of our business. It's a tough job. It's a really hard job to be a steward of that kind of excellence. But if what we're saying isn't actually what we're doing, customers can tell that, your employee base can tell that. So my first job is to sit there and make sure, show the deviation maybe from what we say we're doing and what we are actually doing, and then spend time working with the leadership team that's actioning what we're doing. Maybe it probably isn't actually the executive team. It's probably, the mid-level management who's holding their team accountable, who's setting the tone, the pace, the precedence for what's acceptable in that organization, and trying to find the paths forward there from doing better. We don't need to be perfect out of the gate, but we definitely need to be doing better and then improving upon that baseline level of improvement. But without that, walking and talking being the exact same thing, it's going to be a really hard time to make any sort of massive impact that you want to with your sustainability programs.
Amazing. Okay, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.